Hey everybody! In this video I'll be playing Stargrave's Steam Events of the Undercity scenario, which will be the third battle for my Stargrave campaign. Hey everybody, I'm Alan, with Bricks and Blocks Gaming, the channel that plays tabletop games using toy bricks and blocks and discusses the rules and strategies that build the foundation for those games. In the Steam Events of the Undercity scenario, System Crash and the crew of the Crash Override will be facing off against Captain Mira and the crew of the Crossbones. In this video, I'll start by discussing the state of the crews that are involved in this battle, give a customized story introduction for the scenario, deploy my crews, and ask your input about how grenade launchers work. Then I'll start the battle. And a few turns in, I'll ask for more of your input about some grenade rules. System Crash, carrying the new holographic projector he purchased after his last battle, and his first mate Override, continue on their quest to obtain data loot and apparently cause chaos across the Stargrave galaxy. They're aided in this cause by a Casecracker, a hacker, their sniper that now wears jet boots, 2 troopers, one with a carbine and one with a shotgun, 2 robot sentries, also one with a carbine and one with a shotgun, the second of which has been rewired to have a +4 fight, and their runner, who has proved himself to be very capable in combat. Captain Mira and her Lieutenant Verith, who is equipped with a grenade launcher this battle, are planning to bring a quick end to their adversaries, and maybe pick up some loot along the way. The troops under their command are a gunner, 2 burners, a pathfinder, a trooper with a carbine, a sentry with a shotgun, a chiseler, and a hacker robot. Now let's get to the bricks and blocks of the Steam Events of the Undercity scenario for Stargrave. Extracting the computer parts they needed from a downed ship proved more dangerous than the crew of the Hope Rising expected, as the pirates of the Crossbones descended on their location and swamp creatures showed up looking for a meal. However, the same creatures that nearly ended the life of one of the freedom fighters ended up delaying Captain Mira's pirates long enough for General Basu's team to flee the area, quickly fix their computer systems, and escape out of sensor range of the pirates. Enraged that her crew had let the band of freedom fighters escape, she turned her attention toward the other crew that had been on the planet of Craldor. With no information beyond looking for a tech expert with a red mohawk, through some coercion on neighboring planets, they tracked the crew of the Crash Override to Maldoris, a planet that was once a great metropolis, but now was a radioactive wasteland which has forced everyone to live below ground. Lieutenant Verith learned that System Crash was searching for a weapons cache hidden in Sector 32, an unstable area known for scorching steam rising from deep beneath the steel catacombs of the Undercity. Captain Mira ordered her pirates to set an ambush to stop the Tekker and his Scavengers, and possibly take the weapons cache for themselves. The Steam Vents of the Undercity begins. For this battle, the crew of the Crash Override will be using the orange die again, and the crew of the Crossbones will use the white die, and any uncontrolled creatures will be using the green die. My table is set up. We'll see who gets to deploy first, and that goes to Captain Mira and the crew of the Crossbones. This scenario calls for a physical loot token to be the central token, so they'll have to crack into this to get to that. And then for the other 2 physical loot tokens, they'll have to break into these boxes to get those. And then for the 2 data loot tokens, they'll have to hack their way into these to get access to those. Since this battle takes place in the Undercity, I thought it'd be fitting to have kind of some subway tracks down here. Those aren't actual bricks. Those are from my son's Thomas the Train track. And also, since we're underground here, I'm saying that it's kind of flooded down here. Various wastes and random machine parts have kind of washed up. And it calls for 6 steam vents to be placed in kind of a circle around the middle. And at the start of each turn, one of these is going to spring up some mist, some fog, And some of that's also going to start on the board, and that's going to just kind of block some line of sight. And here in the middle, I have kind of a pump station or something. It's going to be a roofed building, but I'll be taking the roof off so I can actually control what's going on inside there. And inside we have the central loot token, and then we have a dreaded sewer dragon. For my sewer dragon, I'm using my Black Beast of Arg that's from my Monty Python and the Holy Grail themed Frostgrave Warband. I figured this was a fitting model for a sewer dragon, and it's placed right in the middle of the board next to the central treasure token. And whenever someone rolls really bad on initiative, a 1 or a 2, they get a chance to move that creature around. Otherwise, it'll follow normal creature movement rules. Captain Mira decided to set up over here on the left side of the table. So here is Lieutenant Verith, the first mate, and he does have his grenade launcher now instead of the rapid fire that I accidentally gave him last game. And speaking of rapid fire, there is their gunner next to their new burner. Here is their sentry with the shotgun, their trooper with the carbine, their pathfinder, Captain Mira, their chiseler, their robot hacker, and over here is their other burner. And then System Crash is set up over here on this side. He's right here, and in front of him is one of his troopers, this one with a shotgun, their runner who was MVP of their last game. Here's one of their robot sentries with a carbine, their Casecracker, their other sentry, and he has been rewired. He's got a shotgun and he's got +4 fight. Next to him is Override, the first mate. Then there's Sniper, and down here on this end is their other trooper, the one with the carbine, and there is their hacker. And their sniper is wearing those jet boots that they found in their last battle. For loot tokens, each player must place at least one of their tokens within the ring of steam vents. So there is one physical loot token there, and there is one data loot token right over here. And down there is the other data loot token, and the other physical loot token is right here. For the strategies of these teams, the crew of the Crash Override, since they deployed last, that meant they got to place their loot tokens first. So they've got their hacker over here, and they decided to place their data loot token way over here so they can quickly get to that before some of these slow forces of the Crossbones can get to it. And then the crew of the Crossbones decided to just go ahead and place their physical loot token on this side so that they can kind of direct all their figures this way to try to get to both the physical loot tokens and get to that centralized physical loot token. And with this central loot token, at the end of Captain Mira's last battle, they found a secret, and I'd misread what that does in the loot tables. I thought that it had a special effect if it was recovered from a central loot token, but what it does is at the start of another battle, you can declare that you are using your secret, and if you happen to recover the central token in that battle, then you get a special bonus at the end of that battle. So they're going to go ahead and use their secret, and they're going to try to get to this central loot token to get some special loot after the battle. That said, Captain Mira and her team will still be focusing on their main goal of trying to just eliminate their opponent, and they'll be doing all they can to take down System Crash and his team over here. One rule that I want to talk about really quick is with grenades, and more specifically grenade launchers. And that has to do with their range and how their maximum range is determined. The only figure on the board that has a grenade launcher is my first mate over here, Lieutenant Verith. The book says that he has a 16-inch range with that grenade launcher. And it says that the point has to be reachable by an arc. So some people have taken that just simply to mean that he couldn't launch into a building. He could go through a door, but if it's a solid wall, he can't launch through the roof to get into that. But the way I take that to means that the arc itself is part of the measurement. So if, for example, Lieutenant Verith was right here, and he wants to launch a grenade at this soldier over here, I measured, and it's technically 16 inches as the crow flies over to there. So by range itself, he should be able to do that. However, to arc it over that, he has a tall wall in front of him, and then he has this building here. So that arc would have to be way up into the air to come back down at the right trajectory to hit him. So I don't think that that is what the author meant by any amount of arc, even if it goes up to the ceiling, is okay. But I'm not sure. But in my games, I'm going to try to make it so that it realistically would make sense for them to be able to actually arc it to the target. And I'm going to have the total arc be 16 inches for grenade launchers. So if Lieutenant Verith was determined to launch a grenade somewhere over here, if I measure 16 inches, counting the arc as part of the measurement, he could only get to right about here with that 16 inches, which isn't close enough to hit that soldier with a grenade. I am curious how other people are interpreting this rule, so let me know in the comments what your thoughts are about how the grenade should be measured, if it's just straight 16 inches or if you measure the arc on those. Next, I'll do the before game powers, and in my previous battles, I've done this before I've deployed my figures, because the book doesn't really say when before the game they're used, other than just simply before the game. But after some online discussion, the wording for Mystic Trance, which allows me to use one of my other abilities out of game, it says that it's used as an out of game before power, right before initiative is rolled, which would kind of make it imply that other before game powers are used right before initiative. So that's what I'm going to start doing from here on out. So we'll go ahead and do this for this team. Lieutenant Verith has no before game powers, and Captain Mira has just Mystic Trance. She will attempt on an 8. And she failed that, so she cannot attempt another out of game power like she'd planned. For the crew of the Crash Override, System Crash has no before game powers he can use, but Override has the Rewire robot, which he will attempt on a 16. And he got an 8 on that, so no extra powered up robots for them. Before I start the game, I'm going to remove this roof. For game purposes, the roof is on there. I'm just taking it off so that I can see a little better what's going on in there. And one other thing I want to point out is, even though there's water everywhere through the middle of this board, I'm saying it's very shallow water. It's basically just condensation from all the steam coming out of these vents. So it's not going to slow any figures down. I just wanted to kind of give it a different look there and give a reason why all these little plants are sprouting up everywhere. And now 2 of these steam vents, randomly determined, are going to have steam shooting out of them at the start of the battle. I rolled off camera for 2 random vents and got these 2. One thing to point out is these do have an 8-inch diameter as opposed to a smoke grenade, which has a 4-inch diameter, and these will dissipate at the end of the turn on a roll of a 12+. Let's roll some initiative. And it goes to System Crash and the crew of the Crash Override. System Crash will start things out by activating by himself. He'll move 5 inches over here, and then he's going to activate his transport power. So he'll start by using his power move to move right here. And then from there, he'll use his transport power on his Casecracker. Activating on an 8, 3. So System Crash will let that fail, and he'll just hang out there, and then we'll jump over here to Captain Mira's turn. She will also activate by herself, and she's going to run right into this cloud, and then do her power move. So 9 total inches gets her right about to the middle of this, and then she's going to use her drone power. This works on an 11, and she failed her first power as well. She's not going to exert for that. Now hopefully I won't forget about too many figures hiding in these steam clouds throughout the game, but we'll see what happens. Then we'll jump over here to Override. He will do his single 5-inch move to here. And from there, he'll use coordinated fire on their sniper. Successful on a 14, and he only got a 2. Then he will power move over to here. To Lieutenant Verith over here, he will activate with this gunner, and they will both just double move. He doesn't really have any powers he can use if there's no enemies in sight. And they'll just do 7.5 inches both to there. For the crew of the Crash Override, we'll start down here by having this hacker double move over into this building. And then this trooper right here is going to double move only 7.5 because of his heavy armor to right there. And then over here, this sentry with the increased fight is going to run right up over here. Their Casecracker is going to run past System Crash up to here. And their other sentry is going to run right over here. And actually, he can get right in front of System Crash, so he'll be a metal shield instead of a meat shield. With these two figures, this trooper will run over here, right behind that wall, and then this runner, I should have set him up over on this other side of the board because he's going to run all the way over here on his double move. And then this sniper is going to double move over to here. To the pirates over here, this burner is going to just run right over here. So he's able to possibly group activate with Verith next turn. And then their chiseler over here can double move right over here between these two. The other team doesn't have any grenades, so they don't need to really worry about bunching together there. Over to the rest of their soldiers, this other burner will run right over here on a double move. The hacker will start moving that way as well, moving to there. And then for these three, the Pathfinder will run through here, and he can get right up there by the corner of that building. And then these two, this trooper and this sentry, will both run over here, right there with the trooper in the front. For the creature phase, there's no target point for this scenario, so since the sewer dragon can't see any figures, it will do a random move, which brings it off this way. It does have to climb over, I call that rough terrain, having to go over a loot token, which gets him there, and from there, all of his eyes can see this burner, so he'll do a second move, which is 2.5 inches right out to here. This scenario calls for using the unwanted attention table, so at the end of the round, we'll see if anything shows up. We add a 1 to that. It's an 11, so that is nothing. And if something had come up with that, in this battle, it would only be ruffians that would show up. And also at the end of the turn, we're going to roll to see if these steam clouds disappear. On a 12 plus, they will, starting with the one closest to me. That one is still there, and the other one is also still there. And a new steam cloud appears at site number 1. And the way I'm numbering these, this one right here is number 1. And the funny thing is, the sewer dragon is within 1 inch of that, so it will suffer a +3 attack. Part of me wants to say that it's immune to those because it lives down here, but at the same time, I think it would be kind of funny if one of those actually killed the sewer dragon. So the sewer dragon is a +4, and the steam vent is a +3. And this is a regular attack, not a shooting attack, so in the case of a tie, it would still deal damage. And that is a 14 to a 17, so that does hit the dragon. With an armor of 12, that is 5 damage onto the sewer dragon. So the sewer dragon is now covered in this steam cloud and is down to 11 health. We'll roll initiative for the next round. And that barely goes to the pirates. For Captain Mira's turn, I've pulled her out of this cloud. She will run right into here, and from there attempt drone again. So this is on an 11. A 9, she will exert for 2 and take 1 point of strain. So that will place her drone right into contact with this loot, and then she will power move 3 inches out of here, taking cover against the side of that building. System Crash over here will activate with the shotgun wielding sentry, and he'll send the sentry over here on a double move, mostly just to spread out their soldiers a bit. And then System Crash is going to run over here. He has to kind of climb over his Casecracker there. And from right there, he's going to attempt data knock on that data loot. He needs an 11. He gets an 18. There is 1 point of strain on that, but it is unlocked. So this data token will appear down here. He does get experience points for unlocking that, but in cases where a power unlocks a loot, he does not get experience points for the power that he used. But then he will do a power move over to here. Lieutenant Verith will then activate with all 3 soldiers here next to him. He'll start with sending the burner through this vapor cloud over to here. And from there, he is within 3 inches of Captain Mira. Then this gunner is going to run through here. He can get right up over here. So he's got a view of some of this part of the battlefield. Then Verith will move and power move to right here, where he can use target lock to launch a grenade over this wall into that sentry there. And actually, on second thought, he can just barely get the grenade right over here between those two, so that is what he will do. He needs a 13 for target lock. He missed that by 7. He will let that fail. Then their Chiseler is going to run down here, right up between them. Override down here will activate by himself, and he will use his coordinated fire again on the sniper. Give it another try. On a 14, 15, he got that. He will then power move and regular move through this cloud over to here. For Mira's soldier phase, she'll start by having this drone attempt to break into that central loot token. Drones actually have +2 will, so they're not too bad at cracking into things like that. Needs a 14 total, and got a 6. Then with its second action, it is going to run around here and can actually get into combat with System Crash on 6 inches. Over here to this burner, he is going to run around here on his single move to right there, and then he's going to fire his flamethrower into this cloud of steam. Looking at the rules for the flamethrower, it says you don't check for line of sight, you just simply place the template. So if that template is placed here, he's got a clear shot at that sewer dragon, even though it's currently covered in steam. So we'll roll for this attack. So it's a +2 shooting attack, and the dragon has +4 fight, plus hasty shot, and intervening terrain, so +6. And it defends that flame. And now with the steam cloud put back in place, this Pathfinder will run through here, 7 inches to there, and then he will lob a grenade up over this wall into the vicinity of Override. So first, to see if the grenade lands where he wants it, he's got a +3 shoot, but he moved, so he's got a -1 to that from the grenade rules. And he cannot see the point, so he does not get the bonus +2 for seeing it. So altogether +2, needs a 12 for this to land where he wants it. So a 5 + 2 is 7. He failed by 5, so it's going to move 5 inches that direction. So this situation brings up another rules question I have about grenades. It seems a little fuzzy in my opinion, is what do you do if that distance that the grenade is supposed to travel goes through terrain? Because if you go as the crow flies, it could come in here and hit this hacker. But the logistics of that mean that either it would have to bounce off there, or that he threw it like I threw a baseball in 6th grade going from third to home, and I threw it clear up over the backstop, which maybe is possible here. But if this had been a 2-foot tall wall, that's really unlikely that that would happen. So some other options could be that it would kind of hit and then arc in that direction, or that it would go until it hits a wall and then it would explode there, or it would hit a wall and then be a dud because it couldn't travel the full distance. I think the most realistic thing would be that if it hits a wall, it would probably blow up there because, for instance, if a figure was in a small room, there's a good likelihood that no matter where that grenade bounces, it's going to injure the people in there. So I'm kind of curious how other players have played this, so let me know in the comments below what you think about this. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to say it'll go until it hits a wall, which will be this back here, and then it'll just blow up at that point, kind of giving the realism of a grenade going into a small enclosed area. And in this case, hitting that wall and blowing up there, this figure is out of the blast radius, and the figure inside there is obviously behind the wall, so no damage to anybody on that. And to finish off their turn, this hacker droid is going to come over here and climb up this to get ready to go over to that data loot token. And then this trooper here is going to run over here on a double move right inside the building, getting ready to shoot at anybody coming in. Over to System Crash's soldier phase, they'll start by having this robot sentry run over here and engage the drone. And then he will attack with support from System Crash. That makes him a +5 against +0. And he gets an 18. He does have a hand weapon, so against 10 armor, that's 8 damage, and drones only have 8 health, so it blows up. Usually I leave my soldiers laying down if they fall in combat, but I'll just take him off in case Mira rebuilds one. Then they'll have this trooper over here run over here through this steam to right there, so he's up against that terrain, and he is going to fire his carbine at this Pathfinder. This won't count as intervening terrain because he's up against it. Since he moved, the Pathfinder has +4 defense against +3 shoot, and that shot definitely misses. Then over here, this sniper, he's got his jet boots, which give him +3 for 1 movement, so he's going to use that to come right up over here. And then from there, he is going to take a clear shot at the Pathfinder. He's now a +5 because of coordinated fire against +4 because he moved. And that is a 16 against 10 armor, so that is 6 damage, and the Pathfinder is stunned. Then their runner down here can run through the steam cloud and can come right over here on a double move into contact with that data loot token. And this is possibly a suicide mission, but System Crash likes to be risky, so he's going to send his code breaker in here, Casecracker I suppose, and he's going to try to break into this loot. With his picks and his will, he's got a +8 and he needs a 14, so he has broken into that. And with physical loot, he automatically gains control of that. And for their last crew member, this shotgun wielding trooper is going to run right over here by the steam vent. And from there, he's going to fire his shotgun over this terrain and at this burner down here. So that's a +3 shoot against normally +3, but plus intervening terrain and hasty, so +5. And the burner defends that shotgun blast. And now all of a sudden, people hear thrashing and roaring coming out of this steam cloud here as the sewer dragon down there attacks the sentry that's in there with him. The dragon is a +4 against the sentry's +3. And the sentry wins with a 19 against 12 armor. That is 7 damage, bringing the dragon down to 4. The dragon has special rules that it can't be stunned, but it can still be wounded, so it is wounded now. The sentry will choose to stay in combat. Now we'll see if these clouds dissipate, starting with this one, the second one, third one. On a 12+, it's gone. The first one is gone. The second one, where the dragon is still there, and the third one is gone. So this lifts, as does this, clearing the battlefield up a bit. And steam shoots out of event number 1. So even though that's the event that's already covered in a cloud of steam, it can still trigger again, and it essentially just attacks any figures around it. So it's a +3 if they're touching it, +0 if they're not. The dragon is touching it. So the dragon is +2 only because it's wounded against a +3 attack. And that is a 18, so he is fine. Then against the sentry that's under there, he's a +3 against a +0 since he's not actually touching it. And he blocks that. And I just realized that I totally forgot about this hacker hanging out inside this room. It's kind of hard to see from the other side of the room, so we'll just say that I moved him during his soldier phase. He would have double moved over here next to this data loot token. We'll check to see if anything shows up on the unwanted attention table. This gets a +2 this round and still nothing. Initiative for the next round goes to System Crash this time. And I'll add that if a player ever rolls a 1 or a 2 on an initiative roll, they get to move the sewer dragon up to 4 inches anywhere they want. System Crash will activate with his runner down here, and he'll have the runner pick up the data loot token and then run over here on a single move. He's not slowed or encumbered with data loot, so he can get to there. And then System Crash is going to run over here where he can see that data computer and try to unlock that with data knock. This is on an 11. 15, so that is unlocked. So we'll put another data token down here right next to that hacker, and then System Crash is just going to power move back over to where he started. Captain Mira here will activate with this burner, and she's getting a bit angry that they were able to pick up that central token, so she is going to put on her angry eyes. And then she is going to run right over here and use dark energy on this robot sentry. This is successful on a 9. So she got that. This is a +7 shooting attack against a robot. She moved, so the robot gets a +1 for that, and he's got light cover, so +1 again. So +6 against +7 shoot. And that is a 20 against only 9 armor because dark energy ignores light or heavy armor. So the robot takes 11 points of damage. Since he is a robot, he is not wounded though. Then the burner will activate and he will run right over here. And he will also attack the robot. So it's just a +2 shooting attack against +5 defense. He gets a 14 with +2 damage, and flamethrowers also ignore light and heavy armor, so he takes 7 points of damage and he goes down. Override down here can just barely activate with this hacker, just within 3 inches, so the hacker will activate and pick up that data loot token, and then since he's not encumbered, he's able to just run off the side of the board here, securing the first loot token of the game. On a 14, 17, that is successful. Then he will power move and normal move 8 inches back to here. I think this team is ready to start retreating. Up front here, Vareth will activate with this chiseler and with this gunner. And he'll start with having the gunner run right up over here onto the steam vent, and then he is going to take a shot at that trooper over there. The trooper is fight +2, but he's behind light cover, so it's a 4, and there's a hasty shot, so +5 against +3 shoot. And that's only an 8 shoot, so that misses. The chiseler will then come over here and attempt to open up this physical loot. Chiseler has a +7 to this, and he definitely opens that. So that shows up right there. Then Vareth is going to run over here on a single move plus his power move, and then use target lock to launch a grenade over this building right down in front of this sentry there. He needs a 13, and he got a 19. So we'll go against the runner, then the sentry, and then system crash. The runner is a +2 against +3, and that is a 12, so that is 3 points of damage against 9 armor. The sentry is +3 against +3, and he defends that. And system crash is +4 against +3. That is a 16 against 11 armor. That is 5 points of damage. System crash does get stunned by that. For the crew of the crash override, they'll start by having their sniper take a shot at the burner over here. He does have light cover. That makes us a +5 against +5, and that is a 21 against 11 armor. That is 10 damage. He is stunned and wounded. So he ducks down, and then the sniper is going to run over here, hop off the roof, and hang out right here on top of this barrel. Then this Casecracker, carrying the central treasure token, is just going to double move while encumbered right over here behind this runner. Then this sentry is going to run here to essentially block this door, and he's going to take a shot at this trooper. It's a +2 shoot, and he moved, so +3 defense for the trooper. The trooper defends. Next, this trooper over here is going to take another shot at this Pathfinder. Again, he's up against this terrain, so it doesn't count against him, and the Pathfinder is stunned. So that bumps the Pathfinder up to +5 against the +4 for the trooper with coordinated fire. And the trooper gets a 21 against 10 armor. That is 11 damage. And that Pathfinder goes from stunned to fallen in combat. Then the trooper is going to climb up over this, around here, and kind of protect system crash from this trooper coming around. And I almost forgot about this trooper here. He's going to fire his shotgun at this gunner here. He has a clear shot because the gunner's up on that platform, so it's a +3 against +3, and the shotgun misses. Then the trooper is just going to run over here 5 inches. For the pirates, this trooper will shoot at the sentry. This is a +3 against +3. The shot is a 19. That causes 8 points of damage and stuns the sentry. So he's stunned, and then the trooper is going to run around here 5 inches, but can't quite get into combat with this trooper. Actually, I remeasured, and he can get into combat with the trooper. This stunned and wounded burner will activate, and he will stand up. Now, being stunned reduces you to maximum of 1 movement, 1 action. It doesn't actually take away an action, so even though he's also wounded, he still does get 1 action, and all he's going to do is run into this cloud of steam and engage this sewer dragon to offer some support to his sentry buddy in there, and the sentry will attack with support. And actually, before he attacks, since this hacker has nothing else to do, it's going to double move into combat, and now the sentry has double support. So that is now a +7 against the wounded dragon's +2. And that is a 26. That is 14 damage. It had 4 health left. So there's a giant reptilian screech coming from that cloud of vapor, and everybody else on the battlefield assumes the creature is dead. So with the dragon falling, something like that, the sentry is free to escape, and he can move 5 inches over to here. And before I put this cloud back, since it's the end of the turn, we'll find out if that dissipates. On a 12+, it's gone, and it is gone. A new cloud of steam will appear at spot 4. So that pops up right there. We'll see if any unwanted attention shows up. On a 15 or higher, there's a +3 to this, and something does show up. That's 19. And actually, the only thing that can show up in this battle are ruffians, and this guy looks like he could be a ruffian. He's going to show up right down here. So he's coming to find out who is searching through his garbage down here. Roll initiative for the next round, and that goes to the pirates this time. Mira will start out by activating with this burner, and she's going to send this burner 5 inches into this cloud over here. So he's right under here, and from there he can shoot a line of fire hitting both of these loot-carrying figures. The Casecracker is, there's a clear shot to him, but the runner does have light cover being up against this terrain piece. The Casecracker is normally +3, but he is encumbered, and the burner moved, so that balances out to still +3 against +2 shoot. And that is a 20. That ignores armor and does +2 damage. So that Casecracker did not see that coming. That causes 13 points of damage. He's down to 1. He's stunned and wounded. And now we'll roll against the runner. Because of hasty shot and the light cover, the runner is fight +5 against shoot +2. And he lucked out there. He defends that. Then Captain Mira is going to also run into this cloud and then activate a power move. So she is right under here, and then she will use her drone power, which activates on an 11, and she gets another drone. And she'll set it up right in front of her, just outside of the cloud. Now System Crash will activate with the Casecracker, the runner, and this stunned sentry. He'll start by having the runner just run, and he can't quite get off the board, but he can run clear over here on a 10.5-inch double move right up against this wreckage. Then the wounded and encumbered and stunned Casecracker can have one move 3 inches over to here. Then System Crash will stand up, and for his second action he will power move right over next to this guy, and then he will use transport on his Casecracker. This is successful on an 8. A 4, he will exert for 4 to make that work. With the strain, that causes 5 damage, and the Tekker is now down to 7 health. And then with transport, it causes the figure to drop any loot they're carrying, which is just what they want. And then he's going to send the Casecracker 6 inches over here into combat with that drone. And now someone else is free to pick up that loot token. Then this sentry will stand up, and with its second action will fire on this sentry here. So +2 shoot against +2 defense, and the defense wins. Moving to the first mate phase, Lieutenant Verith will activate target lock and launch a grenade up over here right into the vicinity of System Crash. This works on a 13. It's a 7, and it has 1 strain if that's successful. He's going to go ahead and do that. That will bring him down to 7 health. And this is a grenade blast against System Crash, so it's a +4 defense against +3 grenade. That is a 15 to 12, so that hits. That is 4 damage on the Tekker. So that's some bad news here, as System Crash is now stunned and wounded with 3 health remaining. And then to override, he will start out by using his power move to move right over here. And from there, he's got a clear line of sight to this robot, so he will use remote firing to generate a +3 shooting attack against the sentry. This is successful on a 12, which it is. So a +3 shoot against +3 defense. And that misses. Override will then run over here with his 5-inch move to the crew of the Crossbones. They'll start by having this hacker droid just roll his way over here and get into combat here to add support. Then this trooper will attack this trooper. The pirate is supported, so +4 against +2. But the Trooper of the Crash Override wins with a 13 against 11 armor. That's 2 points of damage. And he could push the Pirate Trooper out of combat, but the Trooper would just then come back in. Then over here to this Sentry, he will fire his shotgun at this Sentry. +2 shoot against +3 defense. And that is defended. He will then just run up and get into combat with the Sentry. This wounded burner here will run over the body of this sewer dragon and 5 inches right into here. Then over here to this chiseler, he's going to leave this physical loot behind and double move over here to this to try to break into that on their next turn. And then their gunner is just going to run into this cloud of vapor. So he is here next to Mira, so he can activate with her on their next turn. And then I suppose this drone will attack the Casecracker. Since the Casecracker is wounded, this is a +0 against +0. And that goes to the Casecracker, 14 against 10 armor, that's 4 damage, and he'll choose to stay in combat. Then to the crew of the Crash Override, this trooper here is going to just run over here into this cloud to get into combat with the burner. I guess he's actually at the edge, so he's not in the cloud, but he's in combat with the burner who's right there. And then their sniper is going to run over here, and with his second action he'll pick up that physical loot, and this trooper here will choose to just sit in combat and hold those enemies off. To the creature phase, this ruffian rolled to randomly move 6 inches this way, and he cannot see anybody where he is, so he will just stay there. Then we'll roll to see if that cloud of vapor disappears on a 12+, and it does. Then we'll roll to see where the new one shows up, spot 2. So the vent down there bursts open, nobody's underneath that, so nothing really happens there. But now all this line of sight is opened up here. Roll initiative for the next round. And that goes to Mira's crew. Mira will go ahead and activate with her gunner, and she'll have him run through here. These two soldiers can't force combat because they're already in combat. And he will run to right here, staying more than an inch away from Override, where he's got a shot at both of these two. System Crash does have light cover behind this, but the sniper is just right out in the open. Shooting first at the sniper, he moved, but the sniper is encumbered, so the sniper just has a +3 against +3. And that is a critical hit. That is 18 damage on the sniper, so he goes down. Now against System Crash. System Crash normally has +4 fight, but he's stunned for +2. He's behind light cover for 2, and the gunner moved, so altogether that's a +9 against +2 shoot. And he defends that. Captain Mira, not wanting this Tekker to escape, is going to run over here on a single move, and with a clear line of sight, use Dark Energy on System Crash, activating on a 9. She wants to see this Tekker dead, so she'll exert for 6, taking a total of 7 damage with the strain, and then she will attack. This is a +5 shooting attack. System Crash is stunned. I forgot he's wounded, so that actually kind of cancels each other out. So it's just a +5 attack against +4 defense. And that hits with a 19. That bypasses armor, so he takes 10 points of damage. So System Crash falls in combat, and then she will power move into combat over here to add some more support. And since System Crash is down, we will go to the first mate phase, and Lieutenant Verith here, I think I forgot to have him move last turn, but he's going to move through here and then power move over to here, and from there he can launch a grenade right over here behind this runner. With target lock, this is successful on a 13, which it is. It's a +3 shoot against +2 defense. And that is a 17 against 9 armor, dealing 7 damage to the runner. So that runner is both stunned and wounded. He's down to 2 health, but he can probably still get off the board with that data loot token. To Override's turn here, he is going to move 5 inches this way. And from right there, he can just barely see through here to see that robot's arm, and he is going to use remote firing. Even though he's in combat, remote firing doesn't actually cause the figure to fire, just a shooting attack is generated from the figure's point where he's at. So he'll fire at this wounded burner there. Successful on a 12. He gets an 11. He'll exert for 1 to make that work. So that's a +3 shoot against +3 fight for the burner. And that is 13 against 13. Ties on a shooting attack do nothing. Then Override will use his power move to move off the board. To the soldier phase, the pirates will start out by having this chiseler try to crack into that case. He's got a +7 to this, needs a 14, and he fails. Next, they'll have this drone attack the wounded Casecracker, +0 against +0, and that drone wins and takes out the Casecracker. So he goes down, and then the drone will come over to add support here. And then the burner will attack with support. The trooper's only +2 against the burner's now +5. It's 12 to 12. They both win. They both have 11 armor, so take 1 damage. Over into this room, this burner will run over here to add support. And then the sentry will attack the sentry. The pirate is a +5 against +3. And that hits. That is 15 against 11 armor for 4 damage. So that leaves the trooper down to 2 health. And then over here, with this triple support situation, the hacker is their cheapest unit, so they'll have the hacker attack first. With double support, their hacker's a +5 against +2 defense. But the trooper wins that with an 18. So the hacker is down to 4 health, taking 8 damage. Now the trooper will attack with double support. So this is a +6 against +2. And that is a 20 against 11 armor. That is 9 damage. So that leaves this pirate trooper at 3 health, and he is wounded. The number of actions a figure has are determined when they activate, so even though he's now wounded, if this trooper were to push him out of combat, he does still have 1 action left where he could just move back into combat, so that is what will happen. And now we move to the crew of the Crash Override, and now this trooper will go ahead and attack the wounded pirate. So this is a +4 against +2 now because the trooper is wounded, and that is a critical hit, dealing more than enough to take him down. And then into this central room, this sentry here will attack the wounded burner. The wounded burner plus his support is +3 against +3 for the sentry. And that is a 14, dealing 3 damage to the burner. And that's not quite enough to take him down, but he will push him out of combat. He's at 1 health. And then right over here, this trooper will attack this burner. The burner is +5 with support against just +2. And that is a 21. That trooper is down to 3 health and is wounded. And then for their last soldier, this stunned runner here will stand up and run off the board with this data loot token. To the creature phase, this ruffian is going to randomly move right into this doorway. And from there, he can actually see out this doorway between these and see that chiseler. So he will go ahead and fire his pistol. There's 2 pieces of intervening terrain. The ruffian has just +1 shoot against +1 fight, but 2 pieces of intervening terrain and a movement, so that's +4 for defense. But he wins 14 against 11. That is 4 points of damage against that chiseler. So he is stunned now. At the end of the turn, we'll roll to see if that cloud disappears. It does not, and we'll roll to see where a new one shows up. Spot 6. So that shows up right there, and no figures are in the blast radius of that. We'll see if another ruffian shows up on this is a +5. That is 21, so another one shows up. And it is going to show up right over here in the middle of this side of the table. So we've got another ruffian showing up right down over here. Rolling initiative for the next round goes to Captain Mira's team. Mira down here will activate with her droid, and she'll start out by using dark energy on that trooper. This is successful on a 9. If she fails by 5, she'll let that fail. Then the hacker droid will go ahead and attack. He's a +3 with support against +2 defense. And he wins that with a 19. 8 damage puts him down to 6. And then we'll jump over here to Lieutenant Verith, who will use target lock, launching a grenade at that ruffian there. Successful on a 13. He got that. This is a +3 attack against +2 fight. And that is a 22 with 9 armor and 10 health. That does 13 points of damage. He didn't even see that coming. Then Lieutenant Verith will power move first over to here, and then regular move over to here, a total of 8 inches. At this point, the crew of the Crossbones are going to try to just go ahead and pick up some of these loot tokens, since they've pretty well got the crew of the system crash under control here. So with that, the Chiseler will attempt to break into this physical loot. He's got a +7 to this. He needs a 14. It's only an 11, so he fails that. And he was stunned, so he should have actually stood up, and that would have been his only action for the turn. Then we'll go over here. The burner will attack with support against the wounded trooper. That's a +5 against +0 for the trooper. And that is a 13 total for 2 more damage. He's down to 1. The drone now is going to press its luck. And I'm remembering now that drones actually have, they have no melee weapons, so they're considered unarmed in close combat. So it gets a -2 fight and -2 to damage. So with support, it is +0 against +0 for the wounded trooper. The trooper gets a critical hit, though, and blows the thing up. So that is the second drone the team has taken out. Then this gunner here is just going to run over to this central loot token and pick that up to try to secure their secret. And then here, this sentry will attack the robot sentry. +3 against +3. And the robot wins with a 19, and that deals 8 damage to that sentry. And then this wounded burner is just going to run over here on a single move. And at this point, we'll go to the 3 remaining soldiers from the Crash Override's crew. We'll start with this trooper attacking this burner. The wounded trooper is fight +0 against +3. And that does more than enough damage to take down that trooper. So he falls in combat. Then this sentry is going to attack that sentry. This is a +3 against +3. And that goes to the pirate there. So that 22 deals 11 damage to that sentry. He had 3 health remaining. And then, just to see what will happen, this trooper here will attack Mira. Mira is fight +6 with support against +2 for the trooper. And she wins with a 24. That is 13 damage. He had 6 health remaining, so he goes down. So with the entire crew of the Crash Override either having escaped or having fallen in combat, this gunner over here is carrying this central loot token, so he will acquire that. And then over here, they left this loot, so that is going to, they might get that, and then this one is still locked away. so we'll have to roll to see if they acquire either of those two loots. So the first one on a 15 plus, they don't get that, and the second one also 15 plus, they do get that. So one of those physical loot tokens is staying on the board. Captain Mira's team had a pretty decided victory, pretty well crushing their foes there at the end, and they got 2 physical loot tokens, one of which will be their central token, and they had 2 of their figures fall in combat, so we'll roll up some survival rolls. First for their trooper, 12, he is just fine, and their pathfinder, he is also fine. For after game powers, they just have Lieutenant Verith's Haggle ability, which he'll try to activate on a 12, and he failed that. For experience points, the pirates gain 30 for participating in the battle, 30 for having a figure reduced to 0 health, 100 for 10 successful powers used, 20 for unlocking 1 loot. They got 25 for defeating that sewer dragon and 5 for defeating the ruffian. They defeated 7 of their enemies, which maxes out at 40 experience points gained for that. And they had 1 of their figures suffer an attack from the steam, although he didn't take any damage, and he gives them 5 experience points for that. For a total of 255, combined with 20 they already had, gives them a total of 275 experience points. They'll use 200 to increase Lieutenant Verith's level to 3, and increase his fight stat to +4, and lower the activation number of target lock down to 12. So with their 2 treasures, first they're going to roll for their non-central token to see what they get from that. It's a 10. The 10 for a physical loot is an advanced weapon, and they get another 10. So that is a shotgun with an additional +1 to its damage, so +2 total for that. And then with their central loot token, since they use their secret, they can choose any item from the advanced technology table, the advanced weapons table, or the alien artifacts table, and they will choose to get grenades of +1 damage. They're going to give that to Lieutenant Verith so that, as far as I can tell, he would still get that damage bonus even when using the target lock ability, so that's going to make him even more deadly on the battlefield. It takes up an extra item slot though, so he's getting rid of his hand weapon. I'll keep his katana strapped to his back just because it looks cool. And then they also found that shotgun of +1 extra damage that they'll give to their sentry carrying the shotgun. Captain Mira is not selling any of their items, and they didn't find any more credits, so they are just hanging on to the 460 they found in their last battle. They got some great loot in this battle with those extra grenades to make that grenade launcher even more powerful than it already seems to be. And that shotgun, maybe that'll be useful for that sentry, we'll find out. But overall, I think this team is living up to their name of being the Pirates and are doing a great job accomplishing their goal of just wiping out their opponents. So the crew of the system crash had a much different result from this battle than their last one. In their last one, I believe every one of their figures made it off the table. Not so much this time. They did manage to get those 2 data loot tokens. I think they had a pretty good strategy for getting those, but they got a little too carried away trying to get that central token, and I think it may have cost them dearly as they had 7 figures fall. Let's check their fate. Their shotgun trooper is fine. The carbine trooper is also fine. The carbine robot sentry is fine. And the rewired sentry here, he is also fine. Their Casecracker is fine. Their sniper, who was doing pretty good shooting, is just fine. And for system crash, a 2. So luckily, captains can add +1 to the result of their roll, so he will do that so he doesn't end up dead. But instead, he's going to have a permanent injury, and that will be a 10. So a 10 is a crushed arm, which is really unfortunate because that gives him -1 fight. So I'll find a way to represent that on his figure later. But besides that, they lucked out having 7 figures fall, and none of them are wounded or dead. System Crash will use the out-of-game power of Haggle on a 12, and that is a failure. For experience points, System Crash gains 30 for participating, 30 for having at least one figure reduced to 0 health, 50 for 5 successfully used powers, 60 for unlocking 3 loot tokens, 2 data and 1 physical, and 20 for reducing 2 enemy figures down to 0 health. So altogether they got 190 experience, combined with 95 they already had. It gives them 285. They'll use 200 to increase Override's level to 2, and with that they will lower the activation number for Rewire Robot down to 15, and increase Override's health from 14 to 15. For their 2 data loot, they get a 1 and a 12. The 1 is just 75 credits, and the 12 is an advanced weapon, which will be a 14, which is a hand weapon of fight plus 1. One thing the book clarifies is that any weapons that give bonuses to the fight stat are only applied during hand-to-hand combat, not when defending against shooting attacks. With System Crash's loot, he upgraded his runner to a grenadier to give them some more firepower, and then that hand weapon of fight plus 1 they found, they gave to their rewired sentry to give him fight plus 5 while he's in combat, and it left them with 24 credits left over. I think System Crash's overall strategy was pretty good in that battle. They did a good job getting to those data loot tokens and getting them off the board, and even going after that central token seemed like a pretty sound strategy, but they just got overwhelmed by grenades and flame and dark energy, and they really got lucky that even with 7 figures falling, none of them died or were badly wounded. And with System Crash's permanent injury there on his crushed arm, I suppose the way he looks at it is that he's got a spare, so his spirits are still high. So we'll see how this team does in their next battle. I want to thank you for watching. Be sure to let me know in the comments below how you interpret the grenade rules that I discussed earlier in this video, and to let me know if there are any other rules that I might have gotten wrong, as my goal with these videos is to create an accurate resource for the Stargrave community. And if you enjoyed this video, feel free to click like or subscribe so you can keep up with all the content that I'm releasing. I'm Alan with Bricks and Blocks Gaming, and I'll see you on the next video.